Hello and welcome to our special coverage on the Kazan BRICS Summit. I'm Li Dongning in Beijing.
And I'm Pan Zheng.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived at the Kazan International Airport in Russia. He will be attending the BRICS Summit from today through Thursday. And this is President Xi's 12th time attending the summit and his 10th time visiting Russia as President of the People's Republic of China. And over the years, China has hosted the BRICS Summit 3 times.
And I believe we're now seeing the footage from Kazan International Airport, where Chinese President Xi Jinping has just arrived there for the 16th BRICS Summit. And the theme for this year's summit is strengthening multilateralism, promoting global fair development and security. And this is the first meeting after the group's expansion. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran and Ethiopia officially joined in January this year, bringing the total to 10 member nations. Now, for more insight, we're joined in the studio by Professor Liu Baozheng and Professor Wang Xingsong. Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. So we just mentioned the theme of this year's BRICS. So what would you say is the key message this time this grouping is trying to send out to the world and to the global south, Professor Liu?
I think there are actually the theme indicates 2 key words. One is multilateralism, the other is fairness. Multilateralism has really benefited the whole world, and particularly with those developing countries, and now it is under severe threat. So therefore, to further promote multilateralism on an equitable basis, and this is really a chief mission actually since the setup of the BRICS and together with the new BRICS Bank. And now fairness means that the whole world is now experiencing geopolitical tension, and the bargaining power between the rich and the poor countries are totally disequilibrated. And now, how we can really build a platform that is being inclusive, equitable, and so this is really quite a challenge. And right now, because BRICS represents largely the global south with the big emerging economies, and they take the leadership to raise their own voice and work together to really to bring the global order on a larger scale into a new format, which is again accountable, inclusive, and transparent, and also equitable.
Right, inclusiveness is a very distinct feature of this mechanism, and BRICS was, as we know, originally set up for economic cooperation or greater global cooperation to establish a multilateral world. So what outcomes or agreements, Mr. Wang, do you see can come from this year's summit to enhance global cooperation, especially economic trade cooperation?
Right. Let me first follow up by adding to Professor Liu's points on multilateralism. I think multilateralism has always been there, but what has been promoted specifically at BRICS Summit is a new type of multilateralism, because the existing multilateralism is kind of failing many developing countries and their citizens in terms of providing the funds that needed to bail out their economic crisis, in terms of issuing loans for development projects and so on and so forth. At the same time, the international system is in some sort of crisis despite multilateralism. For example, the United Nations is having trouble resolving many of the issues, disputes, and conflicts around the world. So we need a new type of multilateralism, which features, like Professor Liu said, equity, inclusiveness, and other transparency and accountability, and so forth. And now back to your question about the agreement or the achievements to be expected from this year's summit. I think there's a number of items that are probably going to be on their agenda, including making the multilateral system of BRICS more equitable, more inclusive by, for example, having a new international payment system that so far has been pretty much relied on a system dominated by the US. But as we have seen that when countries have their own agenda, the US always have this tool of weaponization, which prevents the international payment system work for all the countries in the world. So some kind of more equitable system is in need, and also the internationalization of international relations in terms of having more reserve currencies can also be on the agenda. We have seen that petrodollars has been very much dominant in the past over half a century, but it is increasingly incompatible with the global economies today, especially for the developing countries.
Yeah, in addition to these grand objectives, I think there are also housekeeping work that needs to be done. First, what is really the tangible contribution with those new members to, for example, the new BRICS Bank and also the contingency, the reserve system, and then what can be really done to further institutionalize this whole thing. And right now, shall a sort of secretary board being set up to manage the day-to-day work, and because right now with the expansion, you really have more sophistication in doing this coordination work. So yes, I would expect that it's moved on two tracks. One is to get ready for the grand objective. The other is to deal with the housekeeping work so that there's better coordination and also there's more effectiveness in the decision-making process.
So what does this better housekeeping and the daily operation for a better coordination, whether it's in political terms or whether it's in economic terms, for the larger global South? Because as Professor Wang just put it, the world really needs a new voice, a new mechanisms to address true multilateralism. And
we need that voice to be amplified as well.
Yeah.
Yes, I think at the Johannesburg meeting, there has been guiding principle and a criteria to recruit new members, and now what are those key areas that can be really effectively addressed by the coordination of these members? One is the supply chain resilience among these members, and then how we can really contribute to the green transition of the developing countries, and where the BRICS members take a leadership. And then the digital transformation is also a big topic. And yes, of course, some countries are under sanctions and they would go for the proposition of a common currency. I think it's not really sophisticated.
Indeed, yeah, indeed. We'll be talking to you later in this special coverage. And for more on the situation there, let's cross live to our reporter Zhao Yingfei standing by at Kazan International Airport. Hello, Yingfei, bring us up to date.
Pandang, Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived at Kazan International Airport. His aircraft is right behind me. You can see the aircraft is taxiing. And what we understand that President Xi has leave Beijing local time in the morning and here local time at noon in Kazan, and we'll be able to see President Xi's arrival. This is President Xi's 10th trip to Russia as a Chinese president. It will also give a very layer of significance. The major purpose of President Xi's visit is, of course, to attend the 16th BRICS Summit. It also gives a very unique point from the summit itself, because this is the first summit after the Intergovernmental Organization extended its membership from 5 to 10. So certainly this is a very unique opportunity for the Chinese president to get the chance to meet with other BRICS member leaders. And Chinese Foreign Ministry says that Chinese President Xi will attend small and large-scale BRICS leaders meeting and BRICS Plus dialogue. He'll be delivering a series of speeches, very important speeches, committing China's engagement in the greater BRICS era. Now, China has been actively promoting itself in recruiting a membership from the BRICS mechanism. So for this upcoming summit, it's certainly an opportunity for the BRICS members to discuss about how to further carry on the BRICS spirit by further improving the mechanism itself. So this new greater BRICS area, it's a great representation of the global South, and this is also an opportunity for China's to speak out its new ideas and new voices on how to promote peace of the world and how to better fulfill the development of the global south. Now back to you.
All right, thank you very much. Zhao Yunfei reporting from the international airport in Kazan, as we are seeing that President Xi Jinping's plane is gliding into the airport to join the other 23 national leaders to attend this Kazan BRICS Summit. So let's turn back to our studio guest, Mr. Liu. This is the summit since the 5 members joined the bloc this year. So what kind of progress or agreements do you anticipate from the summit after the expansion?
Well, consolidation on the organizational level, and that's a must because they need to have a solid charter in addition to those principles and criteria, and then tangible contribution based on their membership and also based on the agreement. And then whether there's still going to be a consensus system, that's a big question mark because when you have more and more members, and consensus can be very slow in major decision-making process. And then with now the 3 members from the Gulf countries getting involved, and that's a big win for the BRICS because energy is really taking a big shot in today's volatile market, and where reliance on energy supply is getting more and more critical, as a matter of fact. And the other is, do we really need a common currency? Yes, there has been a number of rounds of proposition to bring up a BRICS pay or the common currency, etc. Is it really a feasible one in the near future? So that's quite a question because we do really see a lot of challenges. Actually, the disparity in the growth rate of those existing members and the diversity of the different culture and also their currency system, etc. So we really need to take a long-range view over the common currency to be rather more and more independent out of the U.S. dollar's dominance, and then in terms of regional development, because Africa is really very much enthused to embrace this whole BRICS idea, and one is that they really see that BRICS are really leading the development path, and so it is really a great model that they can really piggyback on. And the other is that there can be identified areas first for the trade facilitation, because over a number of ministerial meetings, they streamlined the custom procedures and quarantine procedures, etc. So that facilitates the trade. And then, do we really go for the bilateral investment treaty? And now, free trade agreement is still on the high agenda. So this can really bring more cohesiveness and also collaborative efforts. So how they can really come up to be a more unified forum and format, and that can really lead the global south to really to add more bargaining power together with the global north. So that's a big question. And right now, I think this meeting will come up with many of those the promising solutions to these challenging problems.
Well, after more than a decade in operation, Professor Wang, what do you make of the true nature of BRICS right now? Because Chinese President Xi Jinping have emphasized that this is a grouping totally different to Western-style political or military alliances, but it's at the same time, it's not trying to against anyone else or a third party. So what do you make of the true nature of BRICS right now, especially after its expansion?
Right, you have a good point. I think on the one hand, the emergence of BRICS was a response to the failure of the existing multilateral institutions that have been available for over half a century. But at the same time, I think over the past decade, BRICS has also been transforming itself into a more active organization that has its own agenda that's not necessarily having to respond to the Western agenda. So like you said, the BRICS organization features equity and inclusiveness, whereas IMF, let's take the example of that, has a very weighted voting power given to the developed countries, especially to the US. But here at the BRICS, especially for the New Development Bank, the weights are equal for all the five founding members. So that speaks about the true nature of the inclusiveness and equity of BRICS. At the same time, decision making is also based on consensus building rather than based on simply domination by hegemon or overwhelming powers. So all of that tell the global South countries that we actually can have an alternative way of organizing the world. This is not necessarily, like you said, to exclude the existing order or to displace the existing order, but rather this provides an alternative choice or alternative availability for developing countries. That's why we have seen that over 35 countries are in the pipeline. They're applying for membership this year. 5 members joined, but we are expecting more members to join this community.
I think one big landmark achievement is really the establishment of the new development bank, and
Headquartered in Shanghai.
Proposed, jointly proposed by all those founding members, and they cover more than 100 projects, which is highly inclusive and also highly transparent, and that is really comparable to the AIB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, right. And they really have won great respect from the stakeholders and also even the Western, the financial communities.
Well, why do you think that bank is important? I mean, comparing such as what you mentioned, the AIB and other monetary organizations?
Because they cater to sustainable development. So this is really the trendsetter for the future. And if you look at all the roughly, I remember 105 projects they have covered are all catered to the critical needs for sustainable development of those communities, providing jobs and for green transition, and also using more of digitization. And more importantly, as a financial institution, transparency is highly regarded. They also follow the tropical principles, so they also have a great impact on those investors and also those constructions. And they deal with the water treatment, they deal with the agricultural planning, and many other facilities that can cater to the daily life of those business and also living communities. So these are really highly regarded. And now when the Europe is talking about a global gateway, when the United States and G7 is talking about a better tomorrow, so these are really drifting in the air. But the BRICS banks and AIB are really delivering all those projects.
So still talking about financing and the development of the global south. Earlier, Professor Liu mentioned this complexity, if you will, the diversity, the varieties in different countries' developmental levels. So have you found out anything new regarding the financing mechanism of the new development bank, Professor Wang?
Well, first of all, the initial subscribed capital injected by all the 5 founding members are equal among them. At the same time, decision making, like I said earlier, is made based on consensus building. So at the same time, they have the principles of rolling out funds for the development projects that are sustainable, green, and also to catering to the critical needs of the developing countries. For example, over the past years, a lot of projects have gone to countries like India, South Africa, and etc. on water projects, on infrastructure projects, and so on and so forth. Basically, I think the point is that the existing gap for infrastructure and development projects is huge in developing countries. That's why China's Belt and Road Initiative for over a decade had contributed a great deal to the development needs of the global South. But there's more is needed. That's why I think the new development bank is filling that gap.
I think, in addition to the banking facilities, one great innovation is the CRA, which means the contingency reserve arrangement. That's there to give better assurance and guarantee to the success of those projects in terms of raising funds. And plus, there is far less bureaucracy or red tapes that need to be cut in allocating those funds as compared what is doing now with the World Bank, etc. So this really gave a high.
Now let's cross live to Kazan International Airport. The Chinese President Xi Jinping has walked out of the plane. He has arrived in Kazan to attend the 16th BRICS Summit.
And as Chinese President Xi Jinping and a host of other leaders gather in Kazan, Russia for the 16th BRICS Summit, the world is once again turning its limelight to the burgeoning international mechanism for how it will push forward self-development and respond to global woes. And what we're seeing now is President Xi Jinping is being welcomed at the international airport in Kazan, and later on he will attend the 16th BRICS Summit.
And as a steadfast champion of BRICS cooperation, Xi Jinping once compared its 5 members. Now, actually, the BRICS has expanded to 10 members, back then to the 5. But earlier, Xi Jinping once compared its original 5 members back to the 5 fingers of one hand, and they're short and long if extended, but from a powerful to form a powerful fist. If clenched together, they could be strong. Now that hand, we can be more than confident to say that that hand has grown bigger and stronger with a larger confidence from all member states, and all those countries are now applying to join the BRICS.
Right, well, what we are seeing now is President Xi Jinping arriving at the Kazan International Airport for the 16th BRICS Summit. And let's know more about the BRICS, the mechanism. BRICS is an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which is literally called Gold BRICS in Chinese, indicating optimism for its great potential and a shining future. This view features prominently in Xi's engagement with the group. Actually, he has consistently placed BRICS high on China's foreign policy agenda. His first appearance on the multilateral stage as China's head of state was at the 2013 BRICS Summit in Durban, South Africa, and he visited all other 4 BRICS countries during the first 2 years of his presidency.
Now you're watching live footage from Kazan International Airport. Chinese President Xi Jinping has been warmly welcomed by Russian officials and local people. This is live footage from Kazan International Airport. Kazan is the host to this year's BRICS Summit, the 16th edition for the grouping. And World Bank data show that the share of BRICS in global GDP grew from 18% in 2010 to about 26% in 2021, with increases in all years during that specific period. And among drivers of this remarkable growth is a strong orientation toward real results. And as our guests just pointed out, that is also based on true multilateralism, based on respect, mutual trust, and consultation and coordination. And President Xi Jinping once stressed that BRICS is not a talking shop, but a task force that gets things done. And this time is no exception in Kazan.
And as we mentioned just now, following this spirit, practical cooperation has always been the foundation of the BRICS mechanism, and a great example of that, as we discussed, is the launch of the new Development Bank, or NDB. That bank is headquartered in Shanghai. The multilateral institution had approved 105 projects in all member countries for about $35 billion by the end of 2023. And in view of BRICS' evolving development needs, President Xi Jinping at the 2017 summit in China's coastal city of Xiamen joined other member leaders in formally incorporating cultural and also people-to-people exchanges into the engines of BRICS cooperation in order to further enhance bond between these nations and reinforce the foundation of BRICS interaction and cooperation, as well as President Xi Jinping has officially arrived in Kazan to attend the BRICS Summit that is going to be held in the city, and they will discuss a lot of, as we just mentioned, very intangible, very practical issues following the agenda. So, Mr. Liu, you just mentioned that with the expansion, actually it's a fact, it's a true fact we're facing that it's harder and harder to get a consensus. So solidarity is a very, very important issue, especially after the mechanism's expansion. So how do you see this mechanism's ability or capability to address that issue, to make everyone united enough?
I think right now, people address the BRICS with different names, whether it's a mechanism, whether it's a framework, whether it's a platform, etc. So I would like to see that it's going to be called an organization. And by being an organization, it's more structured, institutionalized, and everyone abide by rules. So people come together in terms of trust. But eventually it's not really the intra-trust, which is still important, but rather it's a trust with the binding rules with regard to clear, specified the rights and obligations, and then also the very clear decision-making process. And they can also, first, I would expect that they need really to have a very functional secretariat, and then they may build some specialist groups to deal with agriculture, to deal with digital translation, to deal with the e-commerce or climate change, or etc. So this they can really be able to be more effective. And right now, we are really trying to take advantage of both sides. It's a deal approach, as the President Xi mentioned, because we have a task force. But in the meantime, it's also a relational approach, because we have the trust, and also we have the shared scars in our history, and now we have the shared future to look forward to and making efforts towards.
Well, I pretty like, sorry, I pretty like the metaphor that President Xi used to describe the mechanism, the five fingers, not, at the same length. Some of them are
That's
short,
diversity,
but the fist
variety.
they clenched is very powerful. So, Mr. Wang, do you see the different lengths of the five fingers, or the more fingers actually on the hand of a BRICS mechanism? Do you see that as an advantage or disadvantage for its future development, because all the members are at different stage of development?
Right, I definitely think it's a great advantage because, first of all, you cannot expect every country to be at the same development stage. But second, I think it's a great advantage because everybody can then complement each other, both economically, politically, and culturally. And I think what makes BRICS such a great magnet that so many countries are considering applying for the membership is that number one, I think earlier Professor Liu made this point that the founding members, the 5 founding members, they used to be called emerging markets economies. They were emerging because they had developed their own political models, economic models that worked basically. So that set an example for the rest of the developing countries in global south that if you can do it, I can do it too. So BRICS actually serves a great platform for countries to exchange experience economically and also governance-wise. So in short, I think the economic bonding will be the main source of the identity for all the BRICS countries. And if you look at the overall GDP, and the most recent data, I think, is 35% if you count by purchasing power. So 35% of the global GDP, that's quite a lot. At the same time, intra-country trade investments among the 5 founding members have also grown very much from 2017 to 2022. They grew by 56%, right? So, for example, China bilaterally with India, Brazil, and South Africa, and with Russia, has already been very promising in terms of trade and investment. And China is the largest trading partner of India, and Brazil actually is one of the few countries in the world that has trade surplus with China. So my point is that, BRICS has created a great opportunity for all the members to benefit from each other.
Well, gentlemen, we'll be getting back to you very soon on this. Just to bring you up to date, Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived in Kazan for the 16th BRICS Summit. And earlier, our correspondent Alicia Milankovic spoke to the head of the Republic of Tatarstan about the preparations for the event.
I am confident this event will be held at a high organizational level. This is a huge effort by our federal colleagues, primarily Ross Congress and the presidential administration, and our role here is also very important. No one will take away what is being done in Kazan as part of BRICS preparations. Everything will remain, including the facilities and the condition of the roads, the condition of hospitality facilities, the airport complex, the exhibition center. It is a huge amount of work and huge investments, but it is all for the benefit of the people who live here. We have a great interest in partnerships with Chinese regions. There are great possibilities there. Good relations between the Chinese leader and the Russian leader allow us to build relations with the People's Republic of China. The pandemic has slowed us down a little bit. I must say that we have a lot of useful things to learn at the level of government, at the level of municipal authorities. We have an opportunity to learn from them. And of course, trade and economic relations are also important given the new circumstances. The West has left and the East has risen, and in a very dignified way. The growth of trade turnover and our plans are largely connected with the Eastern countries, first of all with China. I think that any visit of a head of state, and especially of such a state as China, is certainly an opportunity for us to showcase ourselves. And we know that China is a very disciplined country. If there is a positive message from the head of China towards Tatarstan, it is again our competitive opportunity to continue working for the benefit of Russia-China relations.
Well, the summit in Kazan is the first gathering of BRICS countries following its expansion to include 5 new members. And CGTN spoke to some top officials of BRICS nations about their expectations for this year's summit.
I would say that Thailand could be a bridge that connects BRICS with the ASEAN region for unlimited economic opportunities. With China as one of BRICS key members, I am certain that our journey with BRICS beyond the summit will move forward smoothly.
The BRICS, since you asked also about the BRICS, is a new group which is very important and whose cohesiveness is essential for a peaceful world.
We see that the payment system has recently become politicized. Western countries restrict payments and money transfers through banks. They limit the use of the financial message transmission system. Therefore, in order to ensure the independence and stability of our trade relations, there is a question of creating our own settlement system, our own system for transmitting financial messages, so that there will be no risks in our trading, and there were no risks to trade with the BRICS countries. We discussed this issue with our partners and colleagues in the Ministries of Finance. In general, we agree that we will prepare a report to our leaders. Both their report and our proposals will be presented at the BRICS Summit in Kazan.
Now for the latest, let's cross live to our reporter Dai Kai following the 16th BRICS Summit very closely in Kazan. Hello Kai, bring us up to date.
That's right. I'm right now at the press center of the BRICS Summit in Kazan, and it's getting much more crowded than this morning when we just got here. Journalists from all over the world are coming in, and of course the top leaders of BRICS countries are coming in as well. Chinese President Xi Jinping, as we just saw, has just arrived at the airport in Kazan, and also arrived at the city is the top leaders such as India and South Africa. So even though it's been a little cold for the couple of days, but we can feel the excitement in the city. We see signs and posters of the BRICS Summit everywhere around town. And from what I can see, the preparations have been going pretty well at the moment. So Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend small and large-scale leaders meetings, BRICS leaders meetings, and also the BRICS Plus leaders dialogue. He will address the attending leaders and members as well. So many believe it would be another round of the BRICS Summit with fruitful results for the Global South.
All right, thank you very much, Dai Kai, reporting from Kazan. And our reporter, Dai Kai, also reflects on Chinese President Xi Jinping's remarks at previous BRICS summits, offering insights into the future direction of the bloc.
It's been a long time coming for the 16th BRICS Summit in Kazan, Russia. Over the years, the BRICS nations have turned ideas into action, shaping a platform that now represents the voices of emerging markets and developing countries. As a key player, China has been instrumental in driving progress. As early as 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping emphasized in Durban, South Africa, that one tree does not make a forest. He called on BRICS countries to not only focus on their own growth, but to work for the common development of all nations. Fast forward to 2017 at the BRICS Summit in Xiamen, China, where 5 non-BRICS nations, Egypt, Guinea, Mexico, Tajikistan, and Thailand, participated at China's invitation. President Xi introduced the BRICS Plus model, aiming to create a more open and diverse network of development partnerships, giving more countries a chance to engage. In his keynote address at the BRICS Business Forum, he quoted an old saying, "It is easy to break one arrow, but hard to break 10 bundled together," stressing the importance of leveraging collective strengths, advancing South-South cooperation, and promoting dialogue between Global South and North. In a virtual address at the 14th BRICS Summit in Beijing in 2022, President Xi Jinping praised the BRICS mechanism for its resilience and vitality amid global challenges. He emphasized the importance of remaining open and inclusive, welcoming like-minded partners into the BRICS family. He said that BRICS countries gather not in a closed club or an exclusive circle, but as a big family of mutual support in a partnership for win-win cooperation. At its core, this platform is about upholding openness, inclusiveness, and harnessing collective wisdom and strength. Soon, all eyes will turn to Kazan, Russia, to see how the country members take cooperation to the next level with a further expanded alliance. Dai Kai, CGTN.
A Russian expert says BRICS has become an important part of a multipolar world. Alexei Maslov is the director of the Institute of Asian and African Studies of Moscow State University.
First of all, I must point out that BRICS has become an important platform for international cooperation. It brings many countries together and sets a series of goals. First, its goal is to keep the world economy stable and conduct economic dialogues. It's committed to promoting economic and trade exchanges and create a comfortable environment for businesses. China has brought up a number of proposals in this regard, and they've been raised well before the summit. Then, BRICS nations are committed to promoting collective security. We see that BRICS nations are becoming an important summit of a multipolar world. It guarantees not just military security, but also cybersecurity and food security, among others.
And Egypt is among 2 African nations to join BRICS in January this year. And TV BRICS Africa spoke with Vasu Gundan, Executive Director of the African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes. He said joining BRICS can bring African countries knowledge and also skills that will boost local agricultural development.
BRICS will, with its existing members and now the expanded BRICS, can play a very, very positive role on our continent What do we need on the continent? We don't need to extract our resources and send them out. We need value addition. And value addition means we must beneficiate our natural resources and beneficiate our agricultural resources. We have 60% of arable land in the world sits in Africa. Why are we importing food? We should be exporting food, and we should be taking care of our own food security. So it's those things that BRICS countries can assist us with by bringing their technology, bringing their know-how and skills into Africa and helping us beneficiate, not taking our resources out of the continent.
Kazan is a historical city in Russia. The mayor of Kazan has spoken to CGTN about preparing for the BRICS Summit and his expectation of Kazan becoming a significant place in global politics.
Мы сделали рекордное количество парков и скверов в этом году.
We have built a record number of parks and squares this year. We have rebuilt quite a lot of structures, and we have done some work on transport infrastructure, including a railway station. Our airport's throughput and capacity have been expanded and can receive all types of aircraft at the same time. All these upgrades will remain after the BRICS Summit to serve our residents and future visitors. We expect Kazan to go down in history, specifically in terms of global politics, as a place where peace will be achieved and where decisions on a new multipolar world order will be made. There were the Potsdam and the Yalta conferences, which brought about significant outcomes. We hope Kazan will become such a place. The main event will take place at the Expo Exhibition Center, which we built in 2019 for the World Skills Competition. The bilateral meetings will take place at the Kazan Kremlin and the Kazan City Hall. Kazan, as a municipality, is very active in international intermunicipal cooperation. In 2005, we became home to the headquarters of the Asian branch of the United Cities and Local Authorities Organization.
All right, now let's get back to our studio guests, Mr. Liu Baozheng and Mr. Wang Xinsong. Mr. Liu, President Xi, in terms of describing the nature or goal of BRICS mechanism, he said in the process of global modernization, no one is left behind. It's quite a big ideal. Do you see that being way too ambitious?
Well, people need to have goals on individual, corporate, community, and then even international level. And that's why President Xi also proposed the community of shared future for mankind. And so this is really a strong cohesiveness towards people, because I always say that what is the difference between people versus other animals? The people are the only animal that can ask why. Why should I work with you? Why should I, for whom should I work for? So these really distinguish people from other type of species. And now, towards a common goal, particularly now in terms of sustainability set forth by the United Nations, that we work all for our future generations, for our children or for our grandchildren. So, to come up with peace and development. And this is really on the top agenda. So therefore, China is really a great defender of such a strong notion. And we do not like any wars. And we also like to have political and peaceful settlement over any type of regional and conflicts. So this is really a very strong voice, particularly in today's geopolitical environment, when everything tends to escalate in terms of the frictions and tensions. And second is that how do we really together, move towards such a sort of goal? You can only, come out by collaboration instead of confrontation. And you can only come about this by building a certain rules for peaceful settlement of any type of disputes that's over there. Otherwise, it's going to be costly and deviating. And the fact that we are also a strong proponent of multilateralism, which is exactly opposed of unilateralism. It is not the one that has a bigger size or has a stronger military might that's going to be bullish towards other smaller nations. So, these are really the issues that we need to address. And now, when the media and many other politicians are spreading out different ideas, I think to build a consensus over those fundamentals are utterly important for the entire human species to move forward.
Professor Wang, it's fair to say that China has been quite open about its vision for a better future for the whole world, and we just talked about this community with a shared future for mankind. And being a little bit specific on that, we also have China's 3 proposals, global initiatives, if you will, focusing on development, security, and civilization. Now, in this context, remind us the key proposals China has brought into the BRICS grouping in this context.
Right. In recent years, we have rolled out initially Belt and Road Initiative, then followed by Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative, and lastly, Global Civilization Initiative. And all these initiatives represent the Chinese wisdom and Chinese proposals to the solutions of the existing problems we're facing in terms of development. Earlier, I mentioned that there is a huge development gap and needs waiting for solutions. And yes, the World Bank, the IMF have done a great job, but at the same time, they're not enough. And they also have their issues with Washington Consensus and conditional lending and all that. And then you have Belt and Road Initiative that fill some of the gap, but you need new initiative. You need more efforts, collaborative efforts by all the countries to contribute to the common development in the global south. And in terms of the global security initiative, we have seen that over the past decades, security problems have been pretty much put on a hold. And increasingly, we are seeing impunity being the main characteristic of the international relations today. And this is not from me. This is from the General Secretary of the United Nations during the past UNGA. So that means we need a new approach to resolving the conflicts that we're facing in the world. And China's contribution, I think, is one principle that is we got to sit down and have dialogues. We have to reach consensus. We have to have mutual respect. Because if you have overwhelming powers who say that who take sides, for example, on certain issues, and the conflicts will never be resolved. Right? And in terms of civilization initiative, I think the BRICS represents, and just like Dongning said, it represents this diversity of the founding members, but also increasingly expanded members who come from different cultures and different values and different development stages. So overall, there needs to be more respect of the diversity of civilizations rather than just one size fits all.
Right, gentlemen, let's get some updates. First, the BRICS group has gained significant attention in recent years due to its growing influence in global economy and politics. And the expansion of the group represents a pivotal moment in international relations, reflecting the shifting dynamics of power towards emerging economies.
To become full members of BRICS,
on January 1st, 2024, the BRICS group welcomed 5 new members: Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. With the admission of these countries, the BRICS Plus now represents almost half of the world's population, a third of global GDP, a quarter of global trade, and 40% of global oil production. Each of the new members has a unique role to play in the bloc. Egypt and Ethiopia will bring more voices from Africa. They will lead more discussions on the region's stability, trade, and investment. Iran offers significant energy resources, especially in oil and gas. It also provides a perspective on Middle Eastern geopolitics, enhancing regional dialogues within the group. As one of the world's largest oil producers, Saudi Arabia will play a key role in global energy security discussions and foster economic diversification strategies. Its geopolitical influence in the Middle East allows it to provide insights into regional dynamics. The UAE is a major global financial and trade hub, particularly through cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Its strategic location enhances connectivity between BRICS nations and global markets. The concept of BRICS originated in 2001 when economist Jim O'Neill coined the term BRIC to describe Brazil, Russia, India, and China as emerging markets with significant growth potential. The group's first official meeting took place in 2009, with South Africa becoming a member a year later, solidifying the BRICS framework. Over the years, BRICS has focused on economic cooperation, political collaboration, and cultural exchange, hosting annual summits to address global issues and foster dialogue.
Well, earlier this year, 5 new members joined the BRICS mechanism. They are Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, and UAE. And many more developing nations want to join as well, including Nigeria as well. Deji Madmusi reports from Lagos.
The rapid expansion of the BRICS bloc as a powerful global geopolitical organization has been remarkable. In January this year, 5 countries, namely Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates, joined the organization, which originally was made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now tens of other countries, including Turkey, Thailand, Malaysia, and Nigeria, have expressed interest in joining the bloc, which is holding this year's summit in Russia.
These countries believe that they have common interests, they have common objectives, they have common developmental aspirations, and they feel that working together will be mutually beneficial. So I think that is the major motivation for the formation of these BRICS.
Enthusiasm for the alliance is growing as countries, especially in the global south, continue to seek better alternatives to solve their economic and development challenges.
The essence of BRICS and benefits to the state parties is to leverage on unity, the power of unity, to grow. You can't see yourself down and remain on the floor forever. They have the right to aggregate, to grow, and change their future.
With its expansion, there are suggestions the group may adopt a new name to reflect its new composition. BRICS Plus has been mentioned, but there's no official confirmation yet. Data from the World Bank estimates BRICS members account for about 45% of the world's population, and their economies are worth around $30 trillion, which is about 28% of the global economy. Analysts say the benefits for member countries could be enormous.
So a lot of benefits are there, and there is also a better understanding of the needs of some of these developing countries within themselves. Those of them that are members of BRICS that are stronger have a better disposition to support the weaker one, rather than everybody looking up to countries in the West.
Now, BRICS championing for developing countries' interests has sparked the interest of the global south countries in joining the group. The bloc's expansion is expected to create new prospects for emerging markets and developing countries. Deji Badimasi, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.
Staying with the topic, Malaysia is bidding to become the latest member of the BRICS group, and this year's host, Russia, has invited Malaysia to attend the BRICS Summit, something Malaysia hopes will be a stepping stone to full membership. Ryan Mauter reports from Kuala Lumpur.
Malaysia is already a member of key groupings such as the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the Non-Aligned Movement, as well as major trade pacts, including the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership.
And regardless of who has led Malaysia, the country has long pursued a balanced foreign policy, enjoying close economic and strategic ties with both the US and China.
The government and analysts believe BRICS is a good fit for Malaysia and vice versa.
We have done the cost-benefit calculation in terms of grand strategic returns to the country, and where we see BRICS is a natural platform for us to not only elevate our voice, our influence at the global level in terms of consolidating our position now as a middle power and as a stabilizing power in the region.
I think BRICS plays a very important role in connecting Malaysia with the global south. And Malaysia has long been championing the global south with our focus on the non-aligned movement.
Malaysia has plenty to gain and to offer BRICS economically too. It's a major trading country, an exporter of commodities. It also plays a critical role in the global electronics supply chain.
I think we would be able to benefit from BRICS through the potential opportunities arising from increased trade and investments with Brazil, with South Africa, some of the countries that Malaysia previously don't have much of an economic relationship with. Even economic relationship with Russia has not been very much. So I think BRICS will enable Malaysia to tap into opportunities.
All beneficial for Malaysia as it seeks to diversify both its import and export markets while gaining a stronger voice on the international stage. Ryan Meltzer, CGTN, Kuala Lumpur.
All right, now let's get back to our studio guest for further talks about trade. Is a very important factor in terms of any mechanism, not only in the BRICS mechanisms. We are facing a lot of challenges worldwide, especially economic uncertainties aroused by regional conflicts, geopolitical issues like that. So do you think, Mr. Liu, there could be a possibility of establishing kind of an inner circulation of trade relations within these mechanisms to fight all those outside challenges?
I think potentially yes. Right now, the multilateral institution like WTO is really on a standstill, and there has been a lot of disappointing issues going on, particularly in terms of dispute settlement and making progress with regard to government procurement program with digital renovation, etc. So that's why over the years we do see that more of the regional agreements are really on the top agenda to deal with specific issues of immediate consideration for those members. And now for the BRICS, because they are not really situated in a region, so that's going to be a new format, because otherwise regional integration is normally taking place among the neighborhoods. And now, but there is a great potential, because one is that the business community really look at it very enthusiastically, because for one example, if you really wanted to build a global brand, and the most famous rating agency, Interbrand, says that you cannot even qualify to be a global brand without heavy presence within those big emerging economies like BRICS. So that shows that businesses are really looking very keenly to have the presence. And the other is that these, the BRICS countries, because they represent a large part of their GDP and also their intertrade among the global shares. So definitely they're going to have that. And also the fact over the past 1 decade, we have seen quite a surge in the intertrade. For example, China buys China is definitely the biggest buyer of soybeans from Brazil, and many of those minerals from South Africa. And of course, we are the gas guzzlers from the Gulf regions, now with 3 members on the agenda. And we deal with also more innovative approach of doing that. For example, we deal with Thailand, in terms of barter trade to build the railways for them. In return, we get their rice. So it's more of a creative way. And so trust is the basis. Second, the potential for economic growth is there. And then collective consultation is the key for us to really move forward on specific projects. So this is not really in completely rivalry with other countries, but rather it is really an augment and also parallel that is going on both at institutional level and also on a trade and investment level.
Well, talking about a potential BRICS FTA, Professor Wang, we know some relatively new FTAs have been going around for some time now. For example, the RCEP and the CPTPP, they're all running on high standards. So how will the BRICS grouping showing its own advantage in its potential FTA?
Right. First of all, I think there is a great deal of complementarity in terms of trade and comparative advantage. With that said, however, FTA group-wise might be a long shot. I think about CPTPP and also RCEP, both of which took many years to get out of the ground. So FTA at the BRICS community level is going to take a while, but at the same time, it doesn't prevent any FTA or bilateral trade to run even faster within the group members. Earlier I mentioned that China-India trade relations are about 50 billion, but then China with Brazil is like 160 billion. So that's quite a huge number of trade volume within the grouping, and it's also growing. And China is imported a lot of minerals from South Africa, but now China is growing its imports from South Africa in terms of agricultural products. So that says to the rest of the applicants who are interested in joining BRICS that there is a huge potential for everybody to benefit in terms of trade, but also investments by joining this group. And speaking of investments, I think both China and India are also very huge investors in Africa, and those investments are dramatically needed by many countries in the global south. So that could also be a source of the magnet of the BRICS.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll be getting back to you in a moment. Now, Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived in Kazan, Russia. He's scheduled to attend the 16th BRICS Summit in Kazan from Tuesday to Thursday at the invitation of Russian President Vladimir Putin. And this is the group's first summit after its expansion. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, Iran and Ethiopia officially joined in January 2024, bringing the total to 10 member nations. President Xi Jinping will attend events including small and large group talks and BRICS Plus dialogue and deliver important addresses. He will also have in-depth exchanges with other leaders on the international landscape, BRICS practical cooperation, the development of the BRICS mechanism, and also important issues of mutual interest.
And since its founding in 2015, the BRICS New Development Bank has been actively supporting infrastructure and sustainable development initiatives across many emerging economies and developing countries. In 2018, it approved a $300 million sovereign loan to support the construction of the first metro line in Luoyang in central China's Henan province. Our reporter Xia Ruixue visits the city to see the progress so far.
Luoyang, one of China's oldest cities and the cradle of ancient Chinese civilization, seamlessly blends history with the modern infrastructure. With the support of a $300 million sovereign loan by the BRICS New Development Bank, the central Chinese cities launched its first metro line in 2021. The line has 19 stations, spanning a total length of over 25 kilometers.
The loan funds were fully utilized, enabling the Luoyang Metro to begin operations 9 months ahead of schedule.
The Luoyang Metro Line 1 project generated nearly 10,000 jobs, reduced carbon emissions by 32,800 tons on an annual basis, and transported 53.42 million passengers by the end of 2023. Earlier this year in February, officials and experts convened in Beijing to review the project's outcomes and lessons learned. According to an evaluation by the Independent Evaluation Office of the New Development Bank, the project was rated as successful. The bank said the project stands as a remarkable success, exceeding expectations in various aspects.
And this project itself has been quite a successful one, particularly in terms of enhancing mobility of communities, of people in the city of Luoyang, in terms of the business development around the metros that NDB helped finance in the city, but also equally critically the reduction in gas emissions, greenhouse gas emissions as a result the construction of the metro.
The success of the project has strengthened foreign investors' recognition and confidence in investing in Henan, facilitating the province's ability to attract and utilize foreign investment more effectively.
It was the first transportation loan project granted by the New Development Bank to China, and the first collaboration between the bank and Henan province. Today, the New Development Bank stands as a cornerstone of the BRICS cooperation framework. With a focus on infrastructure, sustainability, and environmental protection, the bank plays a key role in driving growth across emerging and developing economies. The NDB has demonstrated a strong performance and has earned an international reputation, attracting increasing interest from Global South countries seeking to join its ranks.
The BRICS serves as a vital platform for fostering collaborations among emerging economies. Its initiatives in energy, trade networks, infrastructure projects help foster global prosperity. 夏瑞雪 CGTN 洛阳河南 Province。
Images may appear to be identical, but looks can be deceiving. The difference is not always obvious. It has to be discovered. There are always different sides to a story. We put the focus on the details. To see more, to understand better. CGTN. See the difference.
And now the Israeli military says it will carry out more attacks on Hezbollah's financial arm in Lebanon. And Israel says the Al-Qad al-Hassan Association is funded by Iran to pay operatives of the militant group and help buy arms. And Hezbollah says the organization provides financial services and is also used by ordinary Lebanese. Yasser Hakim has more from Beirut.
The strikes we're targeting, there are 31 branches. And the Lebanese did not know which branches will be targeted. There are a number of branches in the Dahya, which is the southern neighborhood, Hezbollah stronghold, and there are branches around the capital, the city center, and around Lebanon, and Beirut as well. So there was a lot of people displaced last night, and they moved out of their homes, knowing there are branches around their homes in other cities, in other areas of Beirut. So Beirut was packed last night in the street. But what happened is that the attacks targeted only the branches inside the neighborhood, the Hezbollah stronghold or Dahya, around, as we've been told by the Lebanese authorities here, around 15 branches, which were all inside, situated in the Dahya or southern part of Beirut, and the other branches were not targeted. Now, what Hezbollah says that the money has already been moved way before these targets, these attacks happened last night, and they've already moved away, and that the deposits of all those who have left their deposits inside are safe and will be paid. This happened before, a couple of years before, when Israel also targeted the branches of the banks, and all the money was delivered to the people afterwards. So it happened before, and they got their money back, and this time again. These branches, Hezbollah says, are only for giving loans, soft loans. It's even the bank is called the soft loan bank, where people can deposit gold or cash, and they take the loan with the guarantee of the money or gold they have deposited. And Hezbollah said it does not profit from this. It's not for political or military, but it's only charitable organization to help the Lebanese in need of loans at a very low rate. And as we understand from the Hezbollah side, nothing has affected their financial situation so far.